James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound, Bosch. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
This is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable!
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Welcome into Talkin Bout Balls. We are back after a little bit of a hiatus. We are back here on YouTube and hopefully some other platforms. We'll have to see if we get it out this week. But we finally had some NFL football this week. Last Thursday was the Hall of Fame game. We have games this weekend as well. We'll look forward to them. But I think the best talking point here is the Hall of Fame game. It is the opener. Over 6 million people watched the Jets and Browns backups play. And the Browns came out with a 21-16 win. It was pretty exciting. It's rare that we get a game like this where we know who the two quarterbacks are. Zach Wilson is one of the most famous backups just because of his high draft pick and bust status. And Kellen Mond was a really notable player in college, and then Dorian Thompson-Robinson was also notable in college and in this game. Wayne, what is your thoughts of this 21-16 opener that the NFL is now finally back?
Dorian Thompson-Robinson did really good. He had some bursts of, guess what you say, like good plays. I don't know how to explain.
He was good,
and Zach Wilson didn't have the best game. I mean, 3 for 5, 65.
Zach Wilson.
No touchdowns, no interceptions.
Something different for some of these younger guys. I mean, these 3 games or 4 games for these teams, for these on-edge roster guys, this is bigger than the Super Bowl for them. This is bigger than a playoff game. I could make the argument that the Super Bowl for Travis Kelce doesn't mean as much as the Hall of Fame game for Hassan Hall or Austin Watkins or guys. I mean, this is their entire life. If they make the NFL, they get a contract, they are set really well financially for life. If they don't, it's time to go work at the mechanic shop. It's time to go work for your dad's lawn care business, right? It's you're going to the NFL or you're not. This is the biggest game for these people's lives. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson, not a guy that is fighting for a roster spot. He'll be on the day one team, but he was not nervous, or he didn't look nervous coming out. He had a few big time runs, and after the play, he got the first down. He was celebrating. He was getting pumped up for the big time runs he had, and then he threw a touchdown pass also to Austin Watkins on a nice slant route, and then on a touchdown run by Demetric Felton, he got out there and threw a big time block. Even though the defender still almost made the tackle. That's something where he's not going to be the starter. He's not even going to be questioned for the starter. But when you're battling with Kellen Mond for the backup, where Kellen Mond has track record in the NFL, he was drafted in the 3rd round by the Vikings, which questionable draft pick to take Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. That's neither here nor there. But when you're fighting for the backup spot with Deshaun Watson, you don't know, you don't hope for injury, but it's Deshaun Watson. I mean,
off-field
nothing. When you try to be the backup, you're fighting with Kellen Mond and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. It's not a clear backup spot, but if you want to impress the coaches, get out there and block for your guys. And then Zach Wilson, I mean, he is just he's confusing because he has a few passes where you're like, man, this is why he's the number 2 pick. And then he has a few passes where you're like, man, this is why he has a case to be the biggest bust of all time. So I think Aaron Rodgers will help Zach Wilson out a little bit, which I don't think Zach or Aaron Rodgers' life has been every day a living hell in practice. I think when they asked him that question, they expected like Matt Ryan to be coming in, and they're going to fight for the starting spot, not for Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson expected, oh yeah, you're going to bring in a veteran quarterback. Oh, you're going to bring Joe Flacco back, right? You're going to bring in Big Ben's going to come out, or you're going to bring in a bottom 5 QB in the league. No, we're going to bring in a 4-time MVP. So it was a fun game for a preseason game. It was, again, Dorian Thompson-Robinson stole the show, and the Browns I can't wait to watch him when it comes to preseason. He's going to be exciting to watch. He's a seasoned guy already before even stepping out onto the field. The Browns take on the Commanders on Friday, the Eagles next Thursday, and then the Chiefs on August 26th. But 5-year starter at UCLA. He owns the record book at UCLA in terms of passing yards, passing touchdowns. And that's saying a lot when a guy like Troy Aikman went to UCLA and Dorian Thompson-Robinson outperformed him in college. What's the limit for Mr. DTR this year? Can he get some games starting, or is this just like he's a fun preseason player, but
no, there's Deshaun Watson ahead of him, which the Browns are gonna want to keep as their starting quarterback. Talent-wise, he'd be better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. A lot of people don't like him because, what he did, Deshaun Watson. But I feel like this is only a thing where you'll see him preseason unless a quarterback gets injured and he has to step in. But this is only something you'll see for preseason.
I think Deshaun Watson's going to be good this year with the Cleveland Browns. People act like he just forget how to play football. He was not too great last year. He played, 6 games? I mean, what do you expect? The Browns weren't good last year as a whole team. They didn't have much offensive weapons. I think the Browns will be a good team. I think it's a good sign that they were able to work cohesively with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I know it's preseason, but if he can have success with this team, I think Deshaun Watson later in the season will have success with the team. And the Browns won. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl now. That cements it. I don't think the Jets are going to win a game this year. The Hall of Fame game historically has predicted, Super Bowl champions every year, right? Every single year. The Steelers won the Hall of Fame game a few years ago, and they were 11-0.
And then
no, just kidding.
6.
No, just kidding.
Juju
Smith-Schuster, my favorite player.
Fell off a little bit with his TikTok dances.
One final thing here with Zach Wilson. He's a player that he can never do right for himself. Like, he has a few good passes, and he can never just help himself out. Because he had his classic, if you recall the play, he spun out of a sack, which is just great, classic Zach Wilson move. Let's spin out of a sack when there's no defenders there. And then he looks like he's going to get the first down, and he slips. I did
not see that.
Yeah, not even the bad plays, just the funny bad plays that are going to get played over and over again at the sports media outlets.
Not top 10 plays of the week.
It wasn't even that bad of a slip.
You didn't get the first down.
But it was a funny play. It was 3rd and 2 too, and he had it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he
if you're not going to get the first down on a 3rd and 2, and then you have to punt.
Some with these New York quarterbacks and slipping. So that was the Hall of Fame game. There's a bunch of preseason games to look forward to. I think while we're talking about preseason, we should jump right into the preseason games we're looking forward to. Some of the big-time matchups with rookies coming in are the Houston Texans playing this Thursday night against the New England Patriots. Of course, the Texans traded up for number 3 pick in Will Anderson. They have the 2nd pick, C.J. Stroud. That's going to be a team. It's always interesting when a top pick plays his first preseason game because there's going to be so critical on him. Remember Jamar Chase 2 years ago can't catch, and I think he did okay for himself. Got the Vikings and the Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Friday,
Jordan Addison, good wide receiver duel there. Steelers, Buccaneers, Joey Porter Jr., the Falcons. Bijan Robinson makes his debut in the preseason. Get to see Jordan Love in the Packers against the Bengals on Friday night. Moving into Saturday, Titans. Titans, I think, are going to be my number 1 team to watch in preseason because every player that plays at quarterback for the Titans has a chance to start. The Bills, backup is Case Keenum. They also play on Saturday. Who cares what Case Keenum does? But Will Levis, Malik Willis, and Ryan Tannehill all have a chance to be the starter for Tennessee at some point in this season. That's going to be a fun team to watch as they take on the Bears. We have the Jets and the Panthers. Who'd the Panthers draft this year, first round? I think it was that Alabama
it was that Alabama quarterback.
Tua, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, Bryce Young. as he makes his debut for the Panthers Saturday at 4 o'clock. And then, Ravens defend their undefeated crown once again. And Chiefs versus Saints, Sunday, August the 13th at 1 p.m. That's going to be a good game. No, it's not. I hate the people that say, oh, wow, we got Chiefs-Bills. That's going to be a good game. No, it's not.
Preseason.
It doesn't matter. Josh Allen is not playing. It's usually the worst teams in the NFL are the best in preseason. Usually the worst teams in the NFL are the best at preseason because they have rookies and they have guys that are going to be able to play. So all those matchups, a full slate, all 32 teams in action from Thursday night to Sunday afternoon when the Raiders and the Niners end the weekend. Who's some guys you're looking most forward to watch this weekend?
One guy I'm looking forward to is Darnell Washington, the tight end for the Steelers now. He was good tight end in Georgia, fell
second round?
Third
round.
Or fourth or something like that. And he was this good player at Georgia. He can block, he can catch. He's
fast, 4'6", 40.
Yeah, he's like a really good tight end who ends up falling to the third, fourth round where you're able to pick him up.
He had an insane combine. He was a guy, he's very athletic for his frame. I remember he had a hurdle in Georgia. I mean, to have a hurdle at 6'7", 265 pounds, he's a very athletic player. He's a guy that helps the Georgia Bulldogs win 2 national championships, of course, and now is headed to Pittsburgh, which he's very raw. He's very raw. He's just big guy, strong guy, fast guy, and he looks to put that all together in preseason. That's a really good pick. I want to talk about Devin Achane for the Miami Dolphins at a Texas A&M. I'm not really interested to watch him, but he's one of the players that has just – the Dolphins don't really have a running back room right now, so the Miami Dolphins are going to be one of the biggest teams in terms of competing this year in the NFL, but they don't really have any depth. And there was questions that Dalvin Cook would go to the New York Jets or the Miami Dolphins. He's now potentially probably going to the New York Jets. There's Ezekiel Elliott on the market, which,
I don't think anybody's picking him up.
But they have Raheem Mostert. They have Jeff Wilson. They have Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Devin Achane. He's now that third running back. And we've seen it before. Running backs, unlike quarterbacks, don't really take a while to get into the scheme of things, right? Quarterbacks in their rookie year usually kind of suck. But running backs, Saquon Barkley had 2,000 scrimmage yards his rookie year. Bijan Robinson already drafted a high. He should be really great. And now Devin Achane, it's a Miami offense that you know a lot about, and I think it's very intriguing that we don't know anything about the running back room, and I think he's a guy that can step in. I'm also excited to watch him play because I have him on my fantasy team, so that's probably the bigger deal. Anybody else you're looking forward to? Any sleeper guys that you want to look forward to in preseason?
Someone else I'm looking forward to is Noah Sewell, Panay Sue's younger brother.
What team's he on?
Bears.
He's on the Bears. Okay.
Linebacker. He's 6'1", 245, and runs a 4.6 40. Not the biggest guy, but he's very fast, and that's something you could use for linebacker. And if he ends up coming up if he's able to make it up more towards starting position at linebacker, him and Tremaine Edmonds would be really good duo for the Bears there at linebacker. After trading, Roquan Smith, you don't have a really good linebacker. You bring in Tremaine Edmonds in free agency. I'm pretty sure free agency. And then you draft Noah Sewell, who could be a pretty good linebacker for you in the future.
I think it's really great the Bears turnaround in terms of they had that great defense that almost got them very far in the playoffs in what year, 2018 or whatever. They were awful last year on defense. They were the worst defense in the entire NFL, but they invested heavily in the defense. They invested in the offensive line. The Bears are a team that they know what they want to do, right? They have Justin Fields. They don't want him running around for his life. They know that running quarterbacks don't last. So what do? They go get an offensive lineman in the draft. And then in the second round, they go with Noah Sewell. And it's a defense that they're investing a lot in. They had Jaquan Brisker, who was great last year as a rookie at Penn State. They have Tremaine Edmonds. They know what they want to do, which is something that not a lot of teams know. Like, not a lot of teams have a full-on blueprint that we know what we want to do. The Bears want to protect Justin Fields. They want to get weapons for Justin Fields, DJ Moore. And they also want to get a defense that is not going to be the last rank in the NFL this past season, averaging 27 points allowed. So those are really two good players that could make impacts day one in Darnell Washington and in Noah Sewell. Both Darnell Washington out of Georgia, Noah Sewell out of Oregon. I will go with one's a rookie, one's a second-year guy. I already touched on him. Tennessee with Will Levis and with Malik Willis. With those guys, it's a battle for the backup spot, which the backup spot could become the starter spot because Ryan Tannehill, I'm trying not to make it too mean. He sucks.
And he's like 31, 32. He's probably older than that.
And he's making a lot of money for some reason. I remember he had one good year, and the Titans just said, you know what? You're 34. We're going to give you $35 million a year till you're 38 years old.
Yeah, pretty sure their whole offense is Derrick Henry, though. I mean, given your quarterback that'll just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry every play.
And Ryan Tannehill's not a guy that's been able to stay healthy. He's not a guy that has. I mean, the last few years he's missed a lot of games. Missed 6 games this past year. Missed games in the past with Miami. He's missed about 30 games in his career over his 10-year career. So it's not awful, but 3 games on average a year isn't great. He's definitely not an Iron Man. So Malik Willis was maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL last year, which, I mean, to his credit, he had absolutely nobody. And his first ever start was against Kansas City, against Chris Jones, and that great defense on the road. So it's not the best of atmospheres, but he was a guy. The Titans have kind of, I wouldn't say made the same mistake twice, but they've done the same thing twice. Malik Willis, high-rated quarterback. If you remember last year, there was talks he could go to the top 5 in the draft. Falls all the way down to the 3rd round. They say, oh, that's great value. We're going to pick him up. He sucked. They kind of do the same thing with Will Levis. Could he go number 2, they thought, to the Texans? They thought he could go number 2 in the Texans. He falls all the way to the 2nd round. Oh, that's great value. Let's pick him up. Is that the same mistake twice? I want to look at also Anthony Richardson. Not really a sleeper, but I think this guy is boom or bust. I think he either is the best quarterback in this draft at a top 5 QB in the league, or he sucks. I don't think there's any in between there. This was a guy that probably, hot take, tell me if I'm wrong here, is the most athletic quarterback the NFL has ever seen. Is Anthony Richardson the most athletic quarterback the NFL has ever seen?
It's close. I mean, Cam Newton, Lamar, Vic, but he's 6'4", 244 pounds.
Ran a
running
4.4,
40-yard dash.
Broke the record for vertical.
So, I mean, it's.
I think if he was a running back, he would get drafted in the top 3 rounds, which he kind of already is a running back.
If he becomes a good quarterback, he
already is. He's
but he could definitely.
He is Josh Allen. If he can throw the ball, he will be a million times better than Josh Allen. I mean, he's probably got a bigger arm than Josh Allen, but he's the same thing as Josh Allen was. Big, strong, fast, and can throw the ball 90 yards. But he can throw it 90 yards, but not promise
all those
that
interceptions.
Promise there's going to be a receiver down there. It might be a defender. So he's a very raw player for the Indianapolis Colts, but he's getting all the first team reps. I think the best case scenario for the Colts is to play him a half at a time every single game, get as many reps as possible when he comes in. And let's not act like the AFC South is a hard division, right? The Jaguars are the favorites, but they're not invisible. They're not invincible. They're not invincible. They are a team that can get knocked off. Everybody's just writing them in as the division winner, me included. We'll get to that later. Yeah. But the Colts have a chance, Tennessee and Houston, they all have a chance. It's not far off. It's not like we're in the division with the Chiefs where it's just like, the Chiefs are going to win, Chiefs are going to win, Chiefs are going to win. The Jaguars won the division last year, barely. I don't think they're a lock for, again. Is there any other players you're looking at in preseason that you like to keep your eye on?
No,
Jackson
not
Smith and Jigba for Seattle. And then, I mean, hot take, Bijan Robinson. I think this is a guy out of Texas that was probably the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. And we saw what Saquon could do in his rookie year in the Atlanta offense, which it's Desmond Ridder, which no, isn't good. Kyle Pitts and then Drake London. They are going to give Bijan Robinson as many touches as possible because they understand running backs don't last long anyway. Why not run him into the ground anyway? I think he could lead the NFL in rushing yard or rushing attempts or total touches. I saw you look surprised. What are you surprised about?
Yeah, I found out. Well, he's only 5'11", but he's 215 and he runs a 4.4.
4.46. I mean, that's not even that good for a
Yeah,
running back.
no, but I was just.
I think he was actually, when he was running the combine, it was slower than expected. I think people thinking 4.3, but he was kind of slower than expected. But yeah, that's preseason. We have a whole week of preseason, which every year I do it. It's preseason. Oh, I can't wait to watch. And then you watch the first quarter, you're like, oh my God, why am I watching Matt Barkley versus Higgle McCringleberry throw ducks and run the ball up the middle for a yard? But guess what? It's better than nothing.
It's football.
It is. So we're going to move on, switch gears to a start bench cut right here. We were talking about this the other day. If you don't know, start bench cut is basically as it sounds. You're going to start one, which is the best. You're going to bench one, which is the middle guy. And then you're going to cut one, which is the worst guy. So, Wayne, give us our first start bench cut guy.
I will give you Ed Reed, Ronnie Lott, and Brian Dawkins.
I'm only 16 years old. I've never seen Ronnie Lott or Ed Reed or Brian Dawkins play. But number one, best safety of all time is Ed Reed. Number two is Ronnie Lott. Number three is Brian Dawkins. That's not even close.
Yeah, okay.
Was that your pick?
Yeah.
Is that your same? Okay, how about something that you kind of know? This is for next season. This is for next season only. I don't care about last season. I don't care about prime. This is next season only. Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith.
I'd go Derek Carr.
Starting Derek Carr.
Yeah,
starting
Derek Carr.
Carr.
He's going into the Saints. I mean,
They were
yeah,
awful
yeah.
offense last year.
He was terrible last year with
wasn't.
Devontae Adams, who's the best wide receiver in the league.
Well,
Third, second, yeah.
fourth, fifth. Jefferson, Hill, Chase. Diggs.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about. No.
I would say Diggs, and then he's the best. Second, third, up, fourth, up, fifth.
Yeah, but I mean, Derek Carr didn't fit in with that. He now gets to go with Chris Olave, Michael Thomas if he ever
I
stays
don't think
healthy.
he is. I don't think he will ever play.
And
Jamal Williams for the first 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, or Kareem Hunt, but I feel like he will do better with them
I mean,
than
obviously.
what he did with the Raiders. Feel
But
like he'll fit in better and have a better scheme with them.
Is he in the best situation at any of these three quarterbacks?
Probably not, but I see him having a
New Orleans
monumental
last
year
year-
this year.
New Orleans last year, 22nd in the NFL in points per game.
I feel like they'll jump
Denver
up
was
to,
fifth.
Yeah, but I feel like the Saints will jump up higher in the points per game and like offensive.
Pause for a second. I read that wrong. Denver was 32nd. Detroit. Detroit. I read Detroit as Denver. So Denver was 32nd. 16.9 points per game.
Yeah.
Yikes.
With Nathaniel Hackett.
The greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
Now
you bring in Sean Payton, so I go Derek
Sean
Carr.
Payton's not on the Saints.
No, the Broncos.
Oh.
They fire Nathaniel
you got
Hackett
me,
and
you
bring
got
him
me,
in.
You got me.
I'd start Derek Carr,
You
bench Russell Wilson, and I'm cutting Geno. I feel like Geno won't have that good of a year this year. I feel like last year was just one of those years.
I heard they
one-year
wrote
wonder.
back. I heard they wrote back. He's done. No, Geno Smith. I'm starting Geno Smith. He might win MVP. He's going to be very, very good. This reminds me of the Cowboys a few years ago. They had Amari Cooper. They had Michael Gallup. They drafted CeeDee Lamb. Why are you drafting CeeDee Lamb? offense. If you can never have enough offense. Draft. They should trade for DeAndre Hopkins again. I don't care if he just signed. And they need more offense. No, but Geno Smith has one of the easiest jobs now in the NFL. Kenneth Walker at the running back spot. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Noah Fant, an improved offensive line. He was good last year, right? Wasn't like amazing great. He was amazing great for Geno Smith, but you add in Smith-Njigba, you add in an extra year for these guys to play with him. He's my number one. Number two, Russell Wilson. It's one bad year. And then third is Derek Carr. I just never really liked Derek Carr. I don't think he was ever as good as Russell Wilson. Or, I even think, the last time, his last okay season was 2020, 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The last 2 years, he's thrown 28 interceptions compared to 47 touchdowns, and his team has 0 playoff wins with Derek Carr at the quarterback spot. And the Saints are still, I don't think, a good offense. They're getting hyped because they play with the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers. But that is my list. I'll have starting Geno, benching Russ, cutting Derek Carr.
Okay, I have Von Miller, Aaron Donald, Khalil Mack.
Prime?
Yes.
Starting Aaron Donald, benching Von Miller, cutting Khalil Mack. Not even close. What would you go?
Around the same thing.
Around or actually?
Yeah, probably the same thing. Khalil Mack was good, but
where's Khalil Mack's Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, he doesn't have one.
Where's Aaron Donald's? Nowhere. So, yeah, Von Miller, easily benching. What? He's not as good as Aaron Donald, though. This year only, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. I would start Josh Jacobs. No, I actually wouldn't. I would start Saquon Barkley. Bench Josh Jacobs, cut Austin Eckler. I love Austin Eckler, but he's a fantasy player. He's not a real life great running back. I don't know. He's probably like the 9th best running back in the league or something. He's good in fantasy, but in real life, he's nothing special. He's special, but not as good as Jacobs or Saquon.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Wow, you're going bold here. You are really going against the grain.
You made that great point there about
thank you, sir.
Fantasy running back.
That's
so
a great point. Thank you.
I was gonna start putting him up as starting him because he's you can hand the ball off to him and you can pass the ball to him. But made that point of he's a fantasy running back. So okay, so this one now I have coaches.
Wow. Start Adam Gase. Start
Robert Saleh. Okay, so coaches are Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, and Don Shula.
Don Shula, I know
16-0.
But I know nothing about him in the Dolphins. As a coach, call me crazy. I am starting Andy Reid. I'm benching Bill Belichick. I'm cutting Don Shula. Is Bill Belichick the greatest coach of all time? Yes. But Andy Reid, 2-time Super Bowl champion now. He's done it with multiple teams. He was really good with the Eagles as their coach. Now really good with the Chiefs. Bill Belichick, his record without Tom Brady is not great. Before Brady, he was floating around the league. He was with the Browns for a bit. His record without Tom Brady is 51-61 prior to getting Brady. That's before 2001. And then the last 3 years with Brady, the first year he had Cam Newton in that, they didn't make the playoffs. Next year, lost to the Bills by 50. And then this past season, they didn't make the playoffs. So he has been very mediocre without Tom Brady. And I'm not saying that Bill Belichick is only good because of Brady, but Andy Reid, I think, is the greatest play caller of all time, and I'd start him.
Ring around the rosy against the Raiders.
Yep.
I would start Bill Belichick, bench Andy Reid, and cut Don Shula.
Yeah, that's the right pick, but I like Andy Reid more.
All them cheeseburgers. But for me, I would start Bill Belichick. Both coaches get really good, great quarterbacks who are able to do almost anything. Well, Tom Brady can't run, but like besides that, you get the greatest greatest NFL player of all time for your quarterback, and then you get Patrick Mahomes, who can run around, spin, throw the ball. What a heck of a play by Mahomes! All that stuff. And
what about Don Shula's great quarterbacks?
Didn't have anybody, but I mean,
Larry Zonka, he was a running back.
Yeah, fullback. They did the wing T back then.
All right, Mark Andrews, T.J. Hawkinson, George Kittle.
Call
me crazy.
I would
starting T.J. Hawkinson. I'm starting. He's the second best tight end in the league. I'm biased. It's one rare things I'm biased with.
Vikings.
He's the second best tight end in the league. Benching George Kittle, cutting Mark Andrews. I don't like Mark Andrews.
I just have T.J. Hawkinson and George Kittle swapped. I mean,
you think Mark Andrews?
You're saying for this upcoming season, right?
I'm just saying overall. I just don't like.
Yeah, then I'd rather start George Kittle, bench T.J. Hawkinson, cut Mark Andrews.
Cutting Mark Andrews again?
Yeah. Why would I?
Because,
I mean, compared to T.J. Hawkinson and George Kittle, okay, I get I'm a Ravens fan, but like I'm not. You can tell when a tight end is better than your own tight end.
I think the public would say Mark Andrews better. Do you have any more?
No, mostly retired players. So it's
we can do retired players. Why does it matter?
Okay, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Lawrence Taylor.
Start Lawrence Taylor, bench Reggie White, cut Bruce Smith. Easy, not close.
Okay.
Would you do the same thing, Bruce Smith? The only way I know him is because he's most sacks, and he didn't even do it like dominant. He was over a long period of time.
Yeah, so he's got that longevity, but
I don't care. You said prime.
Yeah, so I'd probably agree with you. Over longevity, I would. Probably have Bruce
Lawrence
Smith
Taylor
over
on crack is the greatest player of all time.
Every game
on crack. I'll hit you with two here. I'll go with and I'll just go with one. Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, all time. No, actually, I don't want to do all time. Prime. I am starting Gronk because he could block and he could find the end zone way more. Benching Travis Kelce and cutting Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Gonna say that. I was gonna try and hoping you would do Travis Kelce start, but nope, you went Rob Gronkowski. So
in Tony Gonzalez's best season was 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. Kelsey's done that like every single year. So I get it. It's a different year where the tight ends are used way more in the NFL now. But Tony Gonzalez is one of the greatest catchers of the football ever with 15,000 receiving yards. But I don't know if it's quarterback play or whatever, but I mean, Tony Gonzalez is never getting 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns like Rob Gronkowski got. And then Travis Kelce is probably the greatest receiving tight end ever. After the catch, he's probably the best. He's been a guy that hasn't found the end zone as much as Gronk. Gronk has 92 touchdowns, and Kelce has actually now played one more year. Did you believe that Gronk and Travis Kelce are the same age?
Would have never guessed.
They were the same.
I would have thought at least Travis Kelce was 2-3 years younger.
No, they are the same age. They are both 33.
How many touchdowns does Kelce have?
69.
He's not. Yeah, he needs like another.
Needs 23 more. Okay, so we did the rookies to look forward to. We did the start, bench, cut. Every single year in the NFL, there is at least 2 to 3 teams, maybe even 4, that don't make the playoffs the year prior, that make the playoffs this year. Okay, so I don't care if you don't think they're going to make it. But you got to give at least 3 teams that will make it this year that didn't make it last year, and 3 teams that won't make it this year that made it last year. I'll start off with the teams that I think will make it this year, not because they're all that great, but the New Orleans Saints, just because they play in a division with nobody. The Buccaneers, Panthers, and Falcons, they could go 6-0 in the division. Nobody's going to bat an eye. And then you just got to be mediocre the rest of the year. They can win 8 games and win the division. I'll also go with the New York Jets. Obvious reasons. Aaron Rodgers, they're going to win 12 games this year. And then, I hate to do it, I think they are the most overrated team in the NFL. But the Detroit Lions, I think, will make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the division, but I think they will make the playoffs. So 3 teams that didn't make it this past year that will make it. Wayne, who do you have?
To make the playoffs this year, I have Lions, Broncos, Saints.
Lions, Broncos. Still going to go with those Broncos over the Jets. I mean, that's disgusting. I mean, Sean Payton, you treat him like God. You treat Sean Payton like God. They're not going to make the playoffs, but who cares? Won't make it. I struggled to find 3 because the AFC playoffs. I think 2 right here I'm pretty confident in, but the AFC playoffs were so many good teams. I have the Giants not making it. I don't think that's a shock. I think if the Cowboys and the Eagles get in, it's really hard for the Giants to be a 3rd team from the division that makes it, even though they did this past year. I think probably a lock is the Buccaneers to not make the playoffs. They just barely got in at 8-9. And then I had to pick a 3rd team, and I went with the Los Angeles Chargers just because they've been a disappointment the last few years. So I go with the Chargers. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? Yes, but in the premise of having to predict 3 teams here, I don't think they have the least chance of every other team in there. A lot of the other teams got better in the offseason. I think the Chargers kind of stay the same. They now have a lot of money with Justin Herbert, and they have not really ever been a contender for the playoffs.
Yeah, you kind of took most of my answers there. I mean, I had Bucks, Chargers written down. I was looking here on Google for last year's standings to see who made the playoffs and probably didn't found the Giants. And then you said that right when I found them out.
You think the Seahawks will make it?
Yeah, I think the Seahawks will make it. I mean,
the tough part about this is you think everybody's going to make it that already is in, but it never happens that way, right? Nobody would have thought, the Eagles are going to win 14 games this year, right?
There's always a surprise. Yeah. I mean, you could see some teams, maybe your starting quarterback gets injured, and you don't get lucky like the 49ers did last year, and you have this great backup who will win you 6 games.
Because every year you look at it and you go, Eagles, they'll make the playoffs. The Cowboys, they'll be back. The Niners will be back. The Seahawks will be back. Maybe not the Vikings because people don't like them. But you just go down, they'll be good, they'll be good, they'll be good. You just like every team, but that's not how it works in the NFL. So let's go the best team, the new look team. What I mean by that is they either got a new coach, they got a new weapon, or they got a new quarterback. That they're going to be much different this year than last year in terms of just how they look and how they play. Who will be the best compared to expectations? Because we know the Jets are probably going to be the best team out of the new teams, but you don't need me to tell you that. So best new look team compared to expectations.
I have the Texans bringing in C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson. There we go.
A lot of free agents.
Did they trade away, or did Brandon Cook, was he in free agency?
He got traded.
Yeah. So he was traded away. I mean, I feel like they'll have probably get 2 more wins than they did last year, considering you don't have Davis Mills as your quarterback and you actually have some better players to help your team.
Mm-hmm. They brought in Robert Woods in free agency. They brought in Devin Singletary, Dalton Schultz in free agency, Denzel Perryman, Corey Littleton, Sheldon Rankins, just a lot of little pieces. The Texans remind me a lot of the Jaguars. I don't know if you remember, 2 years ago, Jags had the number 1 overall pick. They had a lot of money to spend, and they went out and got a lot of people. And they weren't good the year 1, but then year 2 was last year.
Because you have Urban Meyer as your head coach.
Yeah, kicks somebody. Kicks the kicker. Never ask Urban Meyer where he was at a bar on the night of
getting
whatever.
a lap dance.
All right.
Continue.
Yeah, I think the Texans are going to be a good team that has stuff to build off of. I don't know about this year. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. Compared to expectations, let me make this clear. They can win 6 games and exceed expectations.
Or win, 2.
But the expectations for the Colts is extremely low, especially with Jonathan Taylor. But I've said it before. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be special. This is a very strong team. Anthony Richardson's a big, strong quarterback. Jonathan Taylor's a big, strong running back. Michael Pittman's a big, strong receiver. Mo Alley Cox is a big, strong tight end.
Derrick Henry, big, strong, run ball up middle.
He does run ball up middle, big, strong, fast. But I think the Colts can win 6 games, 7 games, sneak into a play. Let me calm down.
I don't know about that.
They're not going to sneak into a playoff spot. but they can compete late in the season. So that's my team best compared to expectations. So to wrap this thing up, we have 4 episodes for me and Wayne. I'll be here 5 times. He'll be here 4. He can't do it on August 28th because there's a thing called a birthday. Never heard of it. But we have 4 weeks for us together till the NFL season starts. So got to think, okay, what can we do every single week till there's 4 weeks? We can do 2 divisions, the South, the East, the North, and the West. So today's the South because we want to start off slow so the expectations are getting better. Because the NFC South sucks and the AFC South sucks. So the NFC and AFC South, let's talk about some of the interesting storylines that happened to this team. So Baker Mayfield with the Buccaneers is in a QB battle with Kyle Trask. That's interesting, which is like, I heard Colin Cowherd say it, and he's actually kind of right. He's Baker, just retire. Like, if Baker retires, and he could definitely go to college football and be an analyst because that's where he's known for. He's one of the most famous college football players of all time. He could probably make $5 to $10 million a year in college football. There's no reason to risk a concussion and a lifelong,
CTE.
year of pain, life of pain. You're, I guess, fine right now. I'm not in his head, but you don't have much problems with yourself. Go retire. You've already made enough money. Go analyze college football. Make $5-10 million. Save your reputation. Because now you're battling with Kyle Trask.
And you have Mike Evans, who's aging.
I mean,
Chris Godwin, who he was injured last year. I mean, you don't got.
It was funny. I mean, it was so funny that 5 years ago there was a real conversation. Who do you want to start your franchise, Baker Mayfield or Patrick Mahomes? I mean, that was hilarious. That was a real discussion.
You're forgetting about Mitch Trubisky.
Oh,
Best
Pro Bowl.
quarterback. Fourth quarter Mitch.
Never asked Mitch Trubisky what he was doing in Twitter in 2011.
Or Josh Allen.
Okay, so the Buccaneers bring in Mayfield. They kind of still have the same team that won the Super Bowl, but it's kind of like LeBron in the NBA. He makes bad players look good. That's what Tom Brady does. He makes bad or
Decent players
look
good.
much better, and Leonard Fournette is now and the offensive line is probably the biggest loss. They, besides Tristan Wirfs, they really don't have anybody.
I think Ryan Jensen got injured.
Yeah, and Ali Marpet retired.
Yeah.
There's a lot of they're quickly they go from probably the best offensive line a few years ago to one of the worst. So that's the Buccaneers. The Panthers, number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young, but to get the number 1 pick, they have to sacrifice the number 1 weapon in DJ Moore. So now they're going to have more draft capital moving forward. So Buccaneers or Panthers, any thoughts on those teams?
Nah, you pretty much explained all of it. I mean,
So the Falcons is interesting. What is your outlook on the Atlanta Falcons this year?
I think they'll do pretty good. They'll probably finish second in the division.
You think they'll finish second?
Yeah, I mean, you bring in Bijan Robinson, you have Drake London. The only downside is your quarterback is still Desmond Ridder, who still needs to develop a lot more. He was not NFL ready last year. He really needed to stay behind someone to progress and learn. And
Well, when we say that, it's ideally you staying behind somebody that's good, not Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
He's not going to teach you anything.
Well, yeah, they were in a terrible spot with 2 very terrible quarterbacks. So
I think the Falcons have, call me crazy, one of the highest ceilings in the NFL. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but if they what if Desmond Ridder is something, and then you have Bijan Robinson who's young, and then you have Kyle Pitts who is young, and Drake London who's young. That's a very young offense with a lot of weapons that it's either they're going to hit on them and they're going to be very good, or they're not and they're not going to be very good.
Reminds me of like Sean Watson, DeAndre Hopkins.
Imagine
if Texans.
If they were good on the same team. Ooh,
probably could have won a couple rings.
They could have. So finally, the last team in the division, the New Orleans Saints, probably the most the heavy favorite to win the division. Again, not a lock, but what's your outlook on the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I explained this earlier. You're bringing in Derek Carr, and then you have Chris Olave, possibly Michael Thomas if he ever stays healthy. Forgetting who their tight end is.
Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, or
Nothing
Taysom Hill,
special.
whoever they decide to put in at tight end. But I feel like Derek Carr will have pretty good year with Chris Olave. Chris Olave will have same year he had last year, probably a little bit better.
I think Olave is going to be a really good player. I mean, he had Andy Dalton last year to throw to.
Yeah, and now he's got Derek Carr. That's why I said he'll probably have a better season than last year. I think
a way better year. I think he makes himself a top 10 receiver this year in the NFL. And then the defense for the Saints last year was very good. The Saints were probably my least favorite team to watch last year because their games would be awful. It would be like 10-9, and
unless they played the Bucs.
And why are we watching this game? But if the offense can get going, they could be a very poor. They're getting hyped up. I see people in the sports media space saying, I forget who it was, either Nick Wright or Colin Cowherd saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, which is like,
whoa.
I mean, but if they're in another division, I don't think they are anything special. But in the NFC South
right
yeah,
now,
they'll be pretty good. So finally, the AFC South, a very young division, a division that in a few years, the Titans could be screwed because if C.J. Stroud's good, we know Trevor Lawrence is good,
and
Anthony Richardson, and then they're going to be stuck with mayonnaise eating guy.
Eating the banana peel with his banana.
But this division it sucks. It feels like the whole division has been tanking. It feels like the whole division just got together and like, we're going to be the worst division in the league. We're going to get draft picks.
Except for the Jaguars.
The Jaguars weren't even that good. But let's start at the top with the Jaguars. Are they going to continue to get better? Or is they going to just kind of hit a plateau and be the same as last year or worse?
I feel like they'll be around the same, probably 1 or 2 more wins throughout the season. It's going to win the division just like last year. And
what's your expectation for Calvin Ridley? Top 5, top 10, top 15 receiver?
Probably top 15 could. I won't put him that high up at top 10. I mean, he could be a wide receiver 1 on multiple different teams, but compared to some other wide receivers,
Yeah, I mean it is a gamble trying to go get Calvin Ridley, but you just want to take a shot in the dark. I mean, you just you're playing with a blind hand, and you want to make a tough decision, put all your chips into one table, and I think it's a good pick.
We get it, Mason.
I don't think the Jags are going to be exceptional. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to take another step up. They could still win 9 games, and they could still go 8-9. I wouldn't be shocked. On to the Houston Texans. You said they were going to be a team that is going to be good compared to expectations. What's considered a good year for C.J. Stroud? What's considered a success?
Probably around 4,000 yards.
Okay, so just getting one of the greatest rookie seasons ever.
No, but
the record's like 4,200
realistically
yards.
Around 3,500.
2,800 yards. 3,500 yards with the Texans?
You have Dalton Schultz.
I think if he has 2,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, it's a good year.
Okay. I feel like he can actually. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I'll just say I feel like he will do a little bit better than what most people are expecting.
Okay.
Most people are expecting him to do like best ever because second round pick and all that. But other people think he'll just be terrible. So
I don't think anybody's saying he's the best ever.
No, but there was always the comparisons of C.J. Stroud's the most NFL ready compared to Bryce Young and all this and that.
Mm-hmm. I think there is a problem with C.J. Stroud that I haven't seen him play yet. We'll see him on Thursday. But every year he's been at Ohio State, he's had Marvin Harrison Jr. this past year, best receiver in the country.
Jackson Smith and
Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, so many great receivers that when he goes to the Texans, he's like, why do I not have the best receiving core in the league? Why do I have Robert Woods? But I think he'll be fine. Early in his career, I don't think he's gonna be good because anytime you're a rookie quarterback, you're usually like a high pick rookie quarterback. You're not in a good team for a reason. So anybody really would play on that team. They wouldn't be too good. So let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts, and then we'll save the dreadful Titans for last. I think this is a sneaky team. I already said I think they could be good compared to expectation. Is this a team that's going to make some noise, or just are they fighting for the number 1 pick?
No, they're not fighting for the number 1 pick. But, if Jonathan Taylor comes back, they could make some noise. They could finish second in the division. Mm-hmm. Could probably be better than the Titans and Texans.
They remind me of the Bears a lot, which is not good because the Bears went 3-14. But running quarterback, big running quarterback, running back, like power back, big number one receiver, and they're just going to salt the game away. The Bears went 3-14, but they had the by far best rushing attack in the entire NFL this past year.
Justin Fields.
And David Montgomery and everybody on that team.
Well, now they got rid of him.
They just kind of all chipped in for 177 yards a game. So finally, the Tennessee Titans. They add DeAndre Hopkins. It makes an absolute. It's like a huge signing that makes no change, for my opinion, on the Titans. It makes no change for the Titans. Derrick Henry's 29.
Big, strong man at running back. Run up middle.
I've said it for like 3 years, but I think I'm finally going to be maybe right this year. They start to fall off at age 29, and especially when you've gotten pounded to the ground every year by the Titans offensive coordinator.
And broke your foot like 2 years ago.
And so I don't think the Titans are going to be good. I think this team wins 4 games. Is there any hope for Tennessee this year?
No.
No?
You just got to hope that Derrick Henry doesn't die in the middle of the... Okay, hold on. Whoa. Pause. Didn't...
Yep, go on.
Sorry to everybody who...
Go on.
Yeah, but, like, gets injured in the middle of the field, then...
Yeah, if he gets hurt, their season's over.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt, their season's over.
Their whole offense is Derrick Henry, big, strong man, run up middle. But now you have DeAndre Hopkins, where you either have some of the defense focusing on DeAndre Hopkins, which allows Derrick Henry to have a little bit more freedom when running, or they focus on
well, they only have
Derrick
to focus
Henry,
on 2 players.
and
you
then
can focus on 2 players at once.
You have but
it's not just like we have to focus on Derrick Henry and we can't focus on DeAndre Hopkins, or it's 2 players.
All right, I just want to give you one reminder though.
One reminder.
1 month until NFL football.
Is it 1 month?
Today, 1 month until NFL football.
Wow. It might be 1 month and 1 day because August has 31 days.
Well, it's a month.
Chiefs and Lions. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Talkin Bout Balls podcast. We will see you next week. We have a lot of preseason games to react to. They're probably going to be bad, but we don't care because there's football and there's some rookies we can look forward to. That's going to do it for this week. Hopefully you have a good week and enjoy some preseason football this weekend.